My name is Pauline Shaw, and I'm 69 years old. Yesterday, my son Raymond stood in my living room and told me I was too old, too weak, and too pathetic to stop him from taking everything I owned. "Mom, face it, you can't fight me," Raymond said with a cruel smile. "You're 69 years old, you have no lawyer, you barely understand how the legal system works. I've already filed the paperwork. By the end of the month, this house will be mine." "Raymond, you can't just take my house," I said, my voice shaking. "I've lived here for 40 years. Your father and I paid it off." "Dad's dead," Raymond interrupted coldly. "And you're incompetent. I'm filing for guardianship. Once the court declares you mentally unfit, I'll have legal control over all your assets, this house, your bank accounts, everything. And there's nothing you can do to stop me." "I'm not mentally unfit," I protested. "Raymond, why are you doing this?" "Because I need money," Raymond said bluntly. "And you're sitting on $400,000 in home equity doing nothing with it. Once I have guardianship, I'll sell this house, put you in a nursing home, and use the money to pay off my debts." "You can't do that," I whispered, horrified. "Watch me," Raymond said. "The guardianship hearing is next week. You won't even know how to fight it. By this time next month, you'll be in a nursing home and I'll be signing the papers to sell your house. You're too weak to stop me, Mom. You always have been." He left, and I sat in my living room crying, feeling helpless and terrified. But Raymond made one critical mistake. He underestimated his mother. The next morning, I didn't sit at home feeling sorry for myself. I took action. I hired the best elder law attorney in the state. I gathered evidence. I prepared for war. And when we walked into that courtroom 1 week later, I let Judge Curtis Richardson destroy every single lie Raymond had told to try to steal my home and my independence. But to understand how my son became someone who would try to have his own mother declared incompetent to steal her home, I need to take you back to the beginning. I had Raymond when I was 26 years old, in 1982. His father was my husband Marcus Shaw, a good man who worked as an electrician. We raised Raymond in the same house I still live in today, a modest 3-bedroom home in a working-class neighborhood. Marcus and I both worked full-time to pay the mortgage and raise our son. Raymond was a difficult child, smart but entitled, charming when he wanted something, manipulative when he didn't get his way. "Mom, Tyler's parents bought him a new bike," Raymond would complain at age 10. "Why can't I have one?" "Because we can't afford it right now," I'd explain. "Maybe for your birthday." "That's not fair," Raymond would shout. "Tyler's family isn't even as nice as us. Why do they get to have more?" "Raymond, life isn't about comparing what you have to what others have," I'd try to teach him. "Be grateful for what we can provide." But Raymond never learned gratitude. He always wanted more, always felt entitled to more, always resented that we couldn't give him everything he demanded. As a teenager, Raymond's behavior worsened. He'd lie to get what he wanted. He'd steal money from my purse. He'd manipulate his father and me against each other. "Dad said I could have $20, Raymond would claim. "No, I didn't," Marcus would correct. "Yes, you did," Raymond would insist. "You just don't remember because you're old." Marcus was only 38 at the time. But Raymond had already learned that calling people old or forgetful was a way to manipulate them. Raymond grew into an adult who felt perpetually entitled and perpetually disappointed that the world didn't give him everything he thought he deserved. He went to college, but dropped out after 2 years because the professors didn't appreciate my intelligence. He got jobs, but never kept them long because my bosses were idiots who didn't recognize my value. He got married at 25, but divorced at 28 because my wife was too demanding. At 43 years old, Raymond had never built anything stable. He'd moved from job to job, relationship to relationship, apartment to apartment, always blaming others for his failures. And increasingly, he blamed me and Marcus. "If you and Dad had sent me to a better school, I'd have a better career," Raymond would claim. "We sent you to the same public school everyone else in the neighborhood attended," I'd point out. Many of them have successful careers. Because their parents actually cared about their education, Raymond would counter. You and Dad were too busy working to help me succeed. We worked to pay the bills and put food on the table, I'd defend. We helped with homework every night. We went to parent-teacher conferences. It wasn't enough, Raymond would interrupt. If you'd cared more, I'd be more successful now. This pattern of blame intensified after Marcus died 5 years ago. 5 years ago, Marcus died suddenly of a heart attack at age 62. He was gone before the ambulance arrived. I was devastated. 41 years of marriage ended in an instant. But Marcus had been responsible. We'd paid off our house 10 years earlier. He had life insurance, $50,000 that I used to pay funeral expenses and set aside as emergency savings. At Marcus's funeral, Raymond was angry. Dad should have had more life insurance, Raymond complained. $50,000 isn't enough. Enough for what? I asked, confused. For his family, Raymond said. For me, I'm his son, I should have inherited more. Raymond, your father's life insurance was to help me, his widow, maintain our home and cover expenses, I explained. The house is already paid off. I have Social Security and your father's small pension. I'm financially stable. What about me? Raymond demanded. Don't I deserve something? Your inheritance is that your father raised you, loved you, and gave you every opportunity, I said gently. Material wealth isn't everything. Easy for you to say, Raymond said bitterly. You have a paid-off house worth hundreds of thousands. I have nothing. That conversation should have warned me about what was coming. 3 years ago, Raymond's financial problems became severe. He was fired from another job, his 8th in 15 years. He couldn't find new work quickly. He fell behind on rent and was evicted from his apartment. Mom, I need to move in with you temporarily, Raymond said when he called. Just for a few months until I get back on my feet. Of course, I agreed immediately. He was my son, I would always help him. Raymond moved into his old childhood bedroom. Temporarily became 6 months, then a year, then 18 months. During that time, Raymond contributed nothing to household expenses. He'd find temporary jobs, work for a few weeks or months, then quit or get fired. Raymond, you need to contribute to groceries and utilities, I'd tell him. Mom, I barely make enough to cover my own expenses, Raymond would claim. I'm trying to save money to get my own place. But he never saved. Any money Raymond made disappeared immediately, spent on eating out, new electronics, clothes, things he didn't need. When are you planning to move out? I'd ask as gently as possible. When I can afford it, Raymond would snap. Do you want me to be homeless? What kind of mother are you? 18 months after moving in, Raymond finally moved out. Not because he'd saved enough, but because he'd found a girlfriend willing to let him live with her. But the damage to our relationship had been done. Raymond had spent 18 months seeing me as an obstacle to his comfort rather than a mother trying to help. 1 year ago, Raymond started asking me for money. Mom, I need $5,000 to pay off credit card debt, Raymond said during a phone call. Raymond, I don't have $5,000 to give you, I said. I live on Social Security and your father's pension, about $2,200 per month total. I need every penny for my own expenses. You have the life insurance money Dad left you, Raymond pointed out. That's $50,000. You can spare $5,000. That money is my emergency savings, I explained. I need it for medical emergencies, home repairs, unexpected expenses. I'm your son, Raymond interrupted. Helping me should be your priority. I'm 68 years old, I said. My priority has to be ensuring I can take care of myself as I age. So you're saying no, Raymond said coldly. I'm saying I can't afford to give you $5,000, I said. Thanks for nothing, Mom, Raymond said and hung up. Over the next year, Raymond made similar requests repeatedly. I need $3,000 for car repairs. I need $2,000 to cover rent. I need $4,000 for debt consolidation. Each time I said no. Each time, Raymond grew more resentful. You're sitting on $50,000 in savings plus a house worth $400,000, Raymond would say. You have almost $500,000 in assets, but you won't help your own son. What kind of mother are you? A mother who's trying to be responsible with the limited resources I have, I'd respond. You're selfish, Raymond would accuse. Dad would be ashamed of you. Those words hurt, but I held firm. I couldn't give Raymond money I might need to survive in my old age. 6 months ago, Raymond started making disturbing comments about my mental competency. Mom, are you feeling okay? Raymond would ask when I'd forget something minor. I'm fine, I'd say. I just forgot where I put my glasses. You've been forgetting a lot of things lately, Raymond would say with false concern. I'm worried about you. Raymond, everyone forgets things occasionally, I'd point out. It's normal. For someone your age, memory problems can be signs of dementia, Raymond would say ominously. I don't have dementia, I'd insist. I'm perfectly fine. But Raymond would bring it up constantly. Mom, you already told me that story. Don't you remember? Mom, didn't we already discuss this? Are you having memory problems? Mom, I'm concerned about your mental state. Have you seen a doctor? At first, I thought Raymond was genuinely concerned. But then I noticed a pattern. Raymond only expressed concern when I refused to give him money or disagreed with his plans. Mom, I think you should sell this house and move into a senior apartment, Raymond suggested one day. This house is too much for you to maintain. I maintain it just fine, I said. I'm not selling my home. Mom, you're not thinking clearly, Raymond said. You're 69 years old. You can't keep up a house forever. You should sell now while you're still competent enough to make the decision. I am competent, I said firmly, and I'm not selling. This is exactly what I'm worried about, Raymond said. You're being irrational. That's a sign of cognitive decline. It finally dawned on me. Raymond was building a narrative that I was mentally incompetent. But why? 3 months ago, I discovered Raymond's plan by accident. Raymond had come over for Sunday dinner. While he was using my bathroom, his phone, left on my kitchen table, received a text message notification visible on the locked screen. Did you file the guardianship petition yet? The lawyer said once the court declares her incompetent, you'll have full control of her assets. You can sell the house and we'll finally have money to pay off our debts. I stared at the message in shock. Guardianship petition, declaring me incompetent, selling my house. When Raymond came back to the kitchen, I confronted him. Raymond, I saw a message on your phone, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Something about a guardianship petition and selling my house. What's going on? Raymond's face went through several emotions. Surprise, anger, then calculated calm. Mom, I didn't want to discuss this yet because I knew you'd get upset, Raymond said in a patronizing tone. But the truth is, you're not as capable as you used to be. You forget things. You make poor financial decisions. I'm concerned you're going to hurt yourself or get scammed. I'm perfectly capable of taking care of myself, I said firmly. That's exactly what someone in cognitive decline would say, Raymond responded. Mom, I've been documenting your memory problems and poor judgment for months. I'm filing for guardianship to protect you. Protect me, I repeated, anger rising. Or to get control of my house so you can sell it. Don't be dramatic, Raymond dismissed. If I become your guardian, yes, I'll have legal authority over your assets, but that's to protect them and you from bad decisions. The only bad decision I made was letting you back into my life, I said, my voice shaking with anger and hurt. Mom, you're proving my point, Raymond said condescendingly. You're being irrational and hostile. Those are signs of dementia. Get out of my house, I said. It won't be your house much longer, Raymond said as he left. The guardianship hearing is in 3 months. I have documentation of your declining mental state. The judge will appoint me as your guardian. Then I'll sell this house, put you in a nice facility where you'll be taken care of, and use the proceeds to manage your care. And pay off your debts, I added bitterly. Raymond just smiled. See you in court, Mom. After Raymond left, I spent several hours crying. My own son was trying to have me declared mentally incompetent so he could steal my home and put me in a nursing home. But I couldn't just cry. I had to fight. The next morning, I called attorney Opal Washington, an elder law attorney I found through online research. Ms. Shaw, tell me what's happening, Attorney Washington said when I met with her. I explained everything. Raymond's pattern of entitlement, his requests for money, his recent comments about my mental competency, the text message I'd seen, his threat about the guardianship hearing. Ms. Shaw, what your son is attempting is called predatory guardianship, Attorney Washington explained. It's when someone petitions for guardianship not to protect the person, but to gain control of their assets. Can he actually succeed? I asked, terrified. If you don't fight back, yes, Attorney Washington said bluntly. If you show up to court without an attorney, without evidence of your competency, the judge might appoint Raymond as your guardian based solely on his claims and documentation. What kind of documentation could he possibly have? I asked. He claims he's been documenting your memory problems and poor judgment, Attorney Washington said. That likely means he's kept notes every time you forgot something minor or made a decision he disagreed with. Taken out of context, those notes could make you sound incompetent. But I'm not incompetent, I protested. I know, Attorney Washington said, and we're going to prove it. First, you need a comprehensive cognitive assessment from a neuropsychologist. That will provide medical documentation that you don't have dementia or any cognitive impairment. Second, we'll gather evidence of your competency. Bank statements showing you manage your finances responsibly. Testimony from neighbors and friends about your daily functioning. Documentation that you live independently and take care of yourself. Third, we'll investigate Raymond's motives, Attorney Washington continued. We'll show the court he's not trying to protect you, he's trying to exploit you. Over the next 3 months, I did everything Attorney Washington advised. I underwent a comprehensive cognitive assessment with Dr. Geneva Martinez, a neuropsychologist, who concluded I had no cognitive impairment and was fully capable of independent living and decision-making. I gathered bank statements showing I managed my finances responsibly, paying bills on time, maintaining savings, making reasonable spending decisions. I got affidavits from my neighbors, friends, and my doctor, all attesting to my mental sharpness and independent functioning. And Attorney Washington investigated Raymond's financial situation, discovering he was over $80,000 in debt and had recently been fired from yet another job. Yesterday, the day before the guardianship hearing, Raymond came to my house for a final confrontation. Mom, I'm giving you one last chance, Raymond said. Drop your opposition to the guardianship. Let this happen peacefully. I promise I'll find you a nice nursing home and visit you regularly. I'm not going to a nursing home, I said firmly, and you're not becoming my guardian. Mom, you can't win, Raymond said condescendingly. I have months of documentation showing your declining mental state. I have witnesses who will testify you're forgetful and make poor decisions. You have what? A lawyer you probably can't even afford. I have the truth, I said, and evidence proving I'm perfectly competent. Raymond laughed. Evidence? Mom, you're 69 years old. The judge is going to take one look at you and assume you're a confused old lady. I'm 43, well-dressed, well-spoken. Who do you think he'll believe? We'll find out tomorrow, I said. Mom, face it, you can't fight me, Raymond said with a cruel smile. You're 69 years old. You have no idea how the legal system works. You're too old, too weak, and too pathetic to stop me. By the end of the month, this house will be mine. Get out, I said quietly. See you in court, Mom, Raymond said. By this time tomorrow, you'll be under my control. You're too weak to fight me. You always have been. After Raymond left, I sat in my living room feeling a mixture of fear and determination. Raymond thought I was too weak to fight him. He thought being 69 meant being helpless. He thought I'd crumble in court. He was about to learn how wrong he was. The next morning, I let Judge Curtis Richardson destroy every single lie Raymond had told to try to steal my home and my independence. Before I continue with the story, kindly subscribe now. Hit that like button and turn on NOTFICTONS. Drop a comment. Is Raymond pure evil? Will Pauline win? Where are you watching from? United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Jamaica, Australia? Let me know. The morning after Raymond told me I was too weak to fight him, I walked into the courtroom with attorney Opal Washington by my side, ready to face my son in front of Judge Curtis Richardson. I was terrified. I'd never been in a courtroom before. I'd never testified before a judge. And I was about to watch my own son try to have me declared mentally incompetent so he could steal my home. But I was also determined. Raymond had underestimated me. He thought being 69 meant being weak and helpless. He thought I'd crumble under the pressure of court proceedings. He was about to learn how wrong he was. "All rise," the bailiff announced. "The Honorable Judge Curtis Richardson presiding." Judge Richardson was a black man in his early 60s with a stern but fair expression. He'd been on the bench for over 20 years and had a reputation for being no-nonsense in guardianship cases. "The matter of Raymond Shaw petitioning for guardianship of Pauline Shaw," Judge Richardson announced. "Mr. Shaw, you're petitioning to be appointed guardian of your mother, claiming she's mentally incompetent and unable to manage her own affairs. Is that correct?" "Yes, Your Honor," Raymond said, standing beside his attorney, Attorney Floyd Turner. Raymond was dressed in a suit, looking professional and concerned, the image of a dutiful son worried about his aging mother. I almost believed the act myself, but I knew the truth. "Ms. Shaw, you're opposing this guardianship petition?" Judge Richardson asked, looking at me. "Yes, Your Honor," I said, my voice shaking slightly but determined. "I'm perfectly capable of managing my own affairs. My son is not trying to protect me, he's trying to steal my home." "Those are serious allegations," Judge Richardson said. "We'll hear evidence from both sides. Attorney Turner, present your case." Attorney Floyd Turner stood and gave his opening statement. "Your Honor, this is a case about a loving son trying to protect his elderly mother from herself," Turner began. "Pauline Shaw is 69 years old. Over the past year, her son Raymond has observed significant cognitive decline, memory problems, poor judgment, difficulty managing finances. Mr. Shaw has documented numerous instances of his mother's declining mental capacity," Turner continued. "He's brought these concerns to Ms. Shaw's attention, but she refuses to acknowledge her problems. That lack of insight is itself a symptom of dementia." "Your Honor, Mr. Shaw is not seeking guardianship to benefit himself," Turner said. "He's seeking it to protect his mother from making dangerous decisions that could leave her homeless or destitute. We ask the court to appoint Mr. Shaw as his mother's guardian so he can ensure she receives proper care." Turner sat down, and Judge Richardson turned to Raymond. "Mr. Shaw, please describe the concerning behaviors you've observed in your mother," Judge Richardson said. Raymond stood, putting on his most concerned expression. "Your Honor, it started about a year ago," Raymond began. "I'd visit my mother and notice she was forgetting things, where she'd put her keys, whether she'd taken her medication, conversations we'd had just days earlier." "Can you give specific examples?" Judge Richardson asked. "Yes, Your Honor," Raymond said, pulling out a notebook. "I started documenting these incidents because I was concerned. On March 15th of last year, my mother called me asking if I'd borrowed her gardening tools. I reminded her I'd returned them weeks earlier, but she had no memory of that conversation. On April 3rd, my mother forgot she'd already told me a story about her neighbor," Raymond continued. "She told me the exact same story 3 times in 1 week. On May 12th, I found unpaid bills on my mother's kitchen table," Raymond said. "When I asked about them, she claimed she'd paid them, but the bills were clearly marked overdue." Raymond went on, listing dozens of alleged incidents over the past year. Forgotten conversations, repeated stories, misplaced items, supposedly unpaid bills. Your Honor, individually these incidents might seem minor, Raymond concluded. But collectively, they show a pattern of cognitive decline. My mother is no longer capable of living independently and managing her affairs. She needs help, even if she won't admit it. I sat there listening to my son lie about me in court, my heart breaking and my anger rising simultaneously. Attorney Washington stood for cross-examination. Mr. Shaw, you testified that you've been documenting your mother's alleged memory problems for about a year, Washington began. Is that correct? Yes, Raymond confirmed. And you claim this documentation shows a pattern of cognitive decline, Washington pressed. Yes, Raymond said. Mr. Shaw, isn't it true that you've been asking your mother for money during this same time period? Washington asked. Raymond hesitated. I've asked her for financial help occasionally, yes. Occasionally, Washington challenged. Isn't it true that over the past year, you've asked your mother for money at least 10 different times, totaling over $30,000? I asked her for help during financial difficulties, Raymond admitted defensively. And she refused to give you that money, correct? Washington said. She said she couldn't afford it, Raymond said. And isn't it true that these alleged memory problems you started documenting coincided exactly with when your mother started refusing to give you money? Washington asked pointedly. I don't see the connection, Raymond started. I'll help you see it, Washington interrupted. You asked your mother for $5,000 in March of last year. She said no. 2 weeks later, you started documenting her alleged memory problems. Coincidence? My mother's cognitive decline is real, Raymond insisted. Mr. Shaw, you testified that you found unpaid bills on your mother's kitchen table in May, Washington said. Do you have proof those bills were actually unpaid? They were marked overdue, Raymond claimed. But did you verify with the companies whether payment had actually been received? Washington pressed. No, but, Raymond started. So you assumed the bills were unpaid based solely on what you saw on paper? Washington challenged. It was obvious, Raymond tried to defend. Mr. Shaw, isn't it possible your mother had already paid those bills, and the overdue notices were sent before the payment was processed? Washington suggested. I suppose that's possible, Raymond admitted reluctantly. Mr. Shaw, you testified your mother forgot conversations and repeated stories, Washington continued. Have you ever forgotten a conversation or repeated a story? Everyone forgets things occasionally, Raymond said. Exactly, Washington said. So why does your occasional forgetting indicate normal human memory, but your mother's occasional forgetting indicates dementia? Because she's 69, Raymond said. At her age, memory problems are more concerning. Mr. Shaw, are you a doctor? Washington asked. No, Raymond admitted. Are you qualified to diagnose dementia or cognitive impairment? Washington pressed. No, but, Raymond started. So your testimony about your mother's alleged cognitive decline is based solely on your non-medical, biased observations, Washington said. I know my mother, Raymond defended. I can see she's not the same. Or, Washington suggested, you're deliberately mischaracterizing normal aging and occasional forgetfulness as cognitive decline to justify taking control of your mother's assets. Objection, Attorney Turner said. Argumentative. Sustained, Judge Richardson ruled. Ms. Washington asked questions. Mr. Shaw, if you're appointed guardian, what do you plan to do with your mother's house? Washington asked. Raymond hesitated, realizing this was a trap. I would ensure it's maintained properly. Would you sell it? Washington pressed. That would depend on my mother's care needs, Raymond said evasively. Mr. Shaw, you're currently $80,000 in debt, correct? Washington asked. Objection, Turner interrupted. Mr. Shaw's financial situation isn't relevant. It's highly relevant, Your Honor, Washington countered. Mr. Shaw's motive for seeking guardianship is directly related to his financial desperation. I'll allow it, Judge Richardson ruled. Mr. Shaw, answer the question. I have some debt, yes, Raymond admitted. $80,000 in credit card debt, personal loans, and unpaid rent, Washington specified. And you were recently fired from your job. I'm between positions currently, Raymond said defensively. Mr. Shaw, your mother's house is worth approximately $400,000, correct? Washington asked. I believe that's the approximate value, Raymond agreed. And if you became her guardian, you'd have the legal authority to sell that house and control the proceeds, Washington pressed. To use for my mother's care, Raymond claimed. Or to pay your own debts, Washington said bluntly. Objection, Turner protested. Withdrawn, Washington said. No further questions. Raymond stepped down looking shaken. His concerned son act had been thoroughly dismantled. Attorney Turner called 3 witnesses to support Raymond's claims. Witness 1, Raymond's girlfriend, Geneva Price. Geneva testified that she'd met me several times and noticed I seemed confused and forgetful. Can you give specific examples? Turner asked. One time, Pauline asked me the same question twice in one conversation, Geneva said. Did you consider that maybe she didn't hear your answer the first time? Attorney Washington asked during cross-examination. I guess that's possible, Geneva admitted. Ms. Price, you're aware that Raymond has substantial debt and would benefit financially if he gained control of his mother's assets, Washington asked. I don't know anything about that, Geneva said unconvincingly. Witness 2, Raymond's friend, Porter Mitchell. Porter testified that Raymond had expressed concerns about my mental health. Raymond told me his mother was having memory problems and he was worried about her, Porter said. Did you personally observe these memory problems? Washington asked during cross-examination. No, I've never met Pauline, Porter admitted. So your testimony is based entirely on what Raymond told you, Washington clarified. Yes, Porter confirmed. And you're testifying to help your friend Raymond gain control of $400,000 in assets, Washington suggested. Objection, Turner said. Sustained, Judge Richardson ruled. Witness 3, Raymond's former landlord, Curtis Brown. Curtis testified that he'd evicted Raymond for non-payment of rent, and that Raymond had mentioned he'd soon have money from his mother's estate. This witness actually helped our case more than Raymond's. Mr. Brown, when Raymond said he'd have money from his mother's estate, did he mention his mother had died? Washington asked. No, Curtis said. He said something about getting access to her assets soon. So Raymond was planning to gain control of his mother's assets while she was still alive, Washington clarified. I guess so, Curtis confirmed. All 3 witnesses had actually weakened Raymond's case rather than strengthened it. Then it was my turn to testify. Attorney Washington walked me through my daily life. Ms. Shaw, please describe a typical day for you, Washington prompted. I wake up around 7, I began, trying to keep my voice steady despite my nervousness. I make breakfast. I take my medications. I have a pill organizer to keep track. I read the newspaper. I do housework, laundry, dishes, cleaning. I pay my bills online or by check. Do you manage your own finances? Washington asked. Yes, I confirmed. I balance my checkbook every month. I pay all my bills on time. I monitor my bank accounts for any suspicious activity. I've been managing my own finances for 47 years. Do you live independently? Washington continued. Yes, I said. I cook my own meals. I do my own shopping. I drive myself to appointments. I maintain my house and yard. I don't need help with anything. Ms. Shaw, your son claims you have memory problems, Washington said. Do you forget things occasionally? Of course, I admitted. Everyone does. Sometimes I forget where I put my glasses, or I have to check my calendar to remember an appointment. But those are normal things everyone forgets, not signs of dementia. Ms. Shaw, why do you believe your son is seeking guardianship? Washington asked. I looked directly at Raymond. Because he wants my house. He's $80,000 in debt. He was recently fired from his job. He needs money, and he sees my house as the solution. If he becomes my guardian, he can sell my house, put me in a nursing home, and use the money to pay his debts. How does that make you feel? Washington asked gently. Tears formed in my eyes. Heartbroken, I raised Raymond. I loved him. I helped him whenever I could. And now he's trying to steal my home and take away my independence by lying to a judge about my mental capacity. It's devastating. Raymond's attorney tried to make me look incompetent during cross-examination. Ms. Shaw, you're 69 years old, correct? Turner began. Yes, I confirmed. And you live alone, Turner continued. Yes, I said. Don't you worry about falling or having a medical emergency with no one around to help, Turner suggested. I have a medical alert system, I explained. If I fall or need help, I press a button and emergency services are dispatched immediately. Ms. Shaw, when was the last time you saw a doctor? Turner asked. 2 weeks ago for my annual checkup, I said. And what did the doctors say about your health? Turner pressed. That I'm in excellent health for my age, I said. Blood pressure normal, cholesterol normal, no concerning health issues. Ms. Shaw, you testified you manage your finances, Turner said. But isn't it true you've been late paying bills before? Once, I admitted. 6 months ago, I paid my electric bill 2 days late because I was recovering from the flu and forgot. I paid it as soon as I remembered with a small late fee. That's the only late payment I've had in 5 years. Ms. Shaw, don't you think it would be easier to have someone help manage your affairs? Turner suggested. No, I said firmly. I'm perfectly capable of managing my own affairs. I don't need or want a guardian. Ms. Shaw, isn't it true that you and your son have a strained relationship because you refuse to help him financially? Turner asked. We have a strained relationship because he keeps asking me for money I can't afford to give him, I corrected. And now he's trying to steal my house. Objection, Turner said, argumentative. Sustained, Judge Richardson said. Ms. Shaw, just answer the questions. But I'd made my point. Attorney Washington called Dr. Geneva Martinez, the neuropsychologist who'd evaluated me. Dr. Martinez, please describe the evaluation you conducted of Ms. Shaw, Washington requested. I performed a comprehensive cognitive assessment, Dr. Martinez explained. This included tests of memory, attention, language, problem-solving, and executive functioning. The evaluation took approximately 4 hours. What were your findings? Washington asked. Ms. Shaw performed within normal limits on all cognitive tests, Dr. Martinez reported. Her memory is age-appropriate. Her reasoning and problem-solving abilities are intact. She shows no signs of dementia, cognitive impairment, or any condition that would prevent her from living independently and managing her own affairs. In your professional opinion, does Ms. Shaw require a guardian? Washington asked. Absolutely not, Dr. Martinez said firmly. Ms. Shaw is fully capable of independent living and decision-making. Appointing a guardian for her would be both unnecessary and inappropriate. Attorney Turner tried to challenge Dr. Martinez during cross-examination. Dr. Martinez, isn't it possible Ms. Shaw performed well on your tests but still has problems in daily life? Turner suggested. My evaluation included questions about daily functioning, Dr. Martinez explained. Ms. Shaw manages all activities of daily living independently and appropriately. There's no evidence of impairment. But couldn't someone with early-stage dementia appear normal during a single evaluation? Turner pressed. Early-stage dementia would show deficits on comprehensive cognitive testing, Dr. Martinez said. Ms. Shaw showed no such deficits. Additionally, I interviewed people who interact with Ms. Shaw regularly, her neighbors, her friends, her primary care doctor. All reported she functions normally with no concerning behaviors. Turner had no response to that. Attorney Washington called 3 of my neighbors to testify. Witness 1, my neighbor Letty Foster. I've lived next door to Pauline for 15 years, Letty testified. She's sharp as a tack. We have coffee together twice a week. She helps me with my computer. I help her with gardening. She's perfectly fine. Witness 2, my neighbor Opal Turner. Pauline volunteers at the community center where I work, Opal testified. She helps seniors with technology, teaches them how to use smartphones and computers. If she had cognitive problems, she couldn't do that. Witness 3, my doctor, Dr. Curtis Stone. I've been Ms. Shaw's physician for 10 years, Dr. Stone testified. I see her regularly for checkups. She manages her medications independently. She understands her health conditions. She makes informed decisions about her care. She shows no signs of cognitive impairment. Raymond's case was falling apart. Before I continue with the story, kindly subscribe now, smash that like button, and turn on NOTIFICTUNS. Drop a comment. Will the judge see through Raymond's lies? Should Raymond go to jail for this? Where are you watching from? After all the testimony concluded, Judge Curtis Richardson called a 15-minute recess before closing arguments. I sat in the hallway with attorney Opal Washington, my hands shaking from the stress of testifying against my own son. You did wonderfully, Washington assured me. Your testimony was clear, coherent, and compelling. The expert testimony was devastating to Raymond's case. We're in a very strong position. But what if the judge doesn't believe me? I worried. What if he thinks Raymond is genuinely concerned and I'm just a stubborn old woman? The evidence speaks for itself, Washington said firmly. Dr. Martinez's evaluation proves you have no cognitive impairment. Your neighbors and doctor testified to your competency. Raymond's witnesses were weak at best. And we still have one more piece of evidence to present, the most damaging evidence of all. What evidence? I asked, confused. Washington pulled out her phone. Do you remember 3 months ago when Raymond came to your house and you confronted him about the guardianship petition? Yes, I said. He admitted he was filing for guardianship to get control of my house. And do you remember that during that conversation, you were using your new smartphone, the one your neighbor Opal helped you set up? Washington asked. Yes, I said, still not understanding. Pauline, your phone has a voice memo app, Washington explained. When Raymond was talking, you accidentally activated the voice recording feature. Your phone recorded the entire conversation. My eyes widened. It did. Yes, Washington confirmed. You called me the next day and told me about the conversation. I asked if you'd recorded it and you said no. But when I was helping you organize evidence last week, I found the recording on your phone. You'd accidentally saved it. What did it record? I asked. Everything, Washington said. Raymond admitting he's filing for guardianship to gain control of your assets. Raymond saying he'll sell your house and put you in a nursing home. Raymond explicitly stating his motive is to pay off his debts. It's devastating evidence, Pauline, and we're about to play it for the judge. When court resumed, Judge Richardson looked at both attorneys. Are there any additional matters before we move to closing arguments? Judge Richardson asked. Your Honor, the defense has one additional piece of evidence, Washington said. An audio recording of a conversation between Ms. Shaw and her son Raymond that directly contradicts his claims about his motives for seeking guardianship. Objection, Attorney Turner said immediately. We weren't notified of any recording. This is a discovery violation. Your Honor, this recording was discovered only last week when I was helping Ms. Shaw organize her phone, Washington explained. It was accidentally made and accidentally saved. Ms. Shaw didn't even know it existed until I found it. We notified opposing counsel as soon as we discovered it. When did you notify them? Judge Richardson asked. 3 days ago, Washington confirmed. That's insufficient time to review and respond to new evidence, Turner protested. Your Honor, this is a guardianship hearing, not a criminal trial, Washington countered. The rules of evidence are more relaxed, and this recording is highly relevant to determining Mr. Shaw's true motives. Judge Richardson considered. I'll allow the recording. Attorney Turner, you'll have the opportunity to challenge its authenticity or provide context. Proceed, Ms. Washington. Washington set up a small speaker and pressed play on her phone. The courtroom filled with Raymond's voice from 3 months ago. Raymond's voice. "Mom, I didn't want to discuss this yet because I knew you'd get upset. But the truth is, you're not as capable as you used to be. You forget things. You make poor financial decisions. I'm concerned you're going to hurt yourself or get scammed." My voice. "I'm perfectly capable of taking care of myself." Raymond's voice. "That's exactly what someone in cognitive decline would say. Mom, I've been documenting your memory problems and poor judgment for months. I'm filing for guardianship to protect you." My voice. "Protect me, or to get control of my house so you can sell it." Raymond's voice. "Don't be dramatic. If I become your guardian, yes, I'll have legal authority over your assets. But that's to protect them and you from bad decisions." My voice. "The only bad decision I made was letting you back into my life." Raymond's voice. "Mom, you're proving my point. You're being irrational and hostile. Those are signs of dementia." My voice. "Get out of my house." Raymond's voice. "It won't be your house much longer. The guardianship hearing is in 3 months. I have documentation of your declining mental state. The judge will appoint me as your guardian. Then I'll sell this house, put you in a nice facility where you'll be taken care of, and use the proceeds to manage your care." My voice. "And pay off your debts." Raymond's voice. "See you in court, Mom." The recording ended. The courtroom was silent. Judge Richardson's expression had changed from neutral to stern. He looked at Raymond with clear disapproval. "Mr. Shaw, do you deny that's your voice on that recording?" Judge Richardson asked. Raymond looked panicked. "Your Honor, that conversation is taken out of context." "It sounded pretty clear in context to me," Judge Richardson said. "You explicitly stated you intend to sell your mother's house and use the proceeds to manage her care, and she directly accused you of planning to pay your own debts, which you didn't deny." "Your Honor, I may have been frustrated and said things I didn't mean," Raymond tried to explain. "Or you said exactly what you meant," Judge Richardson interrupted. "Mr. Shaw, this recording contradicts every claim you've made in this courtroom. You've portrayed yourself as a concerned son worried about his mother's welfare. This recording shows you're actually a son planning to exploit his mother's assets to solve your own financial problems." "Your Honor, that's not fair," Raymond protested. "What's not fair is you trying to have your perfectly competent mother declared incompetent so you can steal her home," Judge Richardson said harshly. "Your Honor, there's more," Washington said. She presented a thick folder of documents. "Financial records showing Mr. Shaw's debts and his motive for seeking guardianship." She laid out the evidence systematically. Raymond's debts. Credit card debt, $47,000 across 6 cards. Personal loans, $18,000. Unpaid rent to former landlord, $8,000. Unpaid medical bills, $5,000. Outstanding court judgments, $4,000. Total debt, $82,000. Raymond's income. Recently fired from his job at a warehouse. Unemployment benefits, $320 per week, $1,280 per month. No other income sources. Raymond's assets. Checking account balance, $127. No savings. No property. No investments. Car, valued at approximately $3,000, with $2,500 owed. Your Honor, Mr. Shaw is drowning in debt with virtually no income or assets, Washington explained. His mother's house, worth approximately $400,000, represents a solution to all his financial problems if he can gain control of it. And the only way to gain control is to have his mother declared incompetent and become her guardian, Washington continued. Then he'd have legal authority to sell the house, ostensibly for her care, but in reality to pay his debts. Objection, Turner said. This is speculation about Mr. Shaw's intentions. It's not speculation when we have a recording of him stating his intentions, Judge Richardson said. Objection overruled. Washington presented more evidence showing Raymond's pattern of manipulation over the past year. Your Honor, we have text messages between Mr. Shaw and his girlfriend where he discusses his plan, Washington said, presenting phone records. She read several texts aloud. Raymond to Geneva, 11 months ago. Mom won't give me money. I need a new strategy. Geneva to Raymond. What kind of strategy? Raymond to Geneva. If I can prove she's mentally incompetent, I can get guardianship. Then I control her assets. Geneva to Raymond. That seems harsh. Raymond to Geneva. She's 69. She's going to need a guardian eventually anyway. I'm just speeding up the timeline. Your Honor, this text exchange occurred 11 months ago, Washington pointed out. Mr. Shaw has been planning this guardianship for nearly a year, specifically to gain control of his mother's assets. Washington presented more texts. Raymond to his friend Porter, 8 months ago, started documenting Mom's memory problems, building a case for guardianship. Porter to Raymond. Is your mom actually having memory problems? Raymond to Porter. Not really, but I'm writing down every time she forgets something or makes a decision I don't agree with. By the time I file for guardianship, I'll have months of evidence. Judge Richardson's expression grew increasingly severe as each text was read. Attorney Turner tried to salvage Raymond's case during closing arguments. Your Honor, my client may have expressed frustration about his mother's condition in private conversations and text messages, Turner argued. But that doesn't mean he's not genuinely concerned about her welfare. The recording and texts show Mr. Shaw discussing finances, yes, Turner continued. But providing for his mother's care will require money. Managing her assets is part of a guardian's responsibility. Your Honor, we don't dispute that Mr. Shaw has financial difficulties, Turner said. But that doesn't mean he's trying to exploit his mother. He simply believes she needs help, and as her son, he's the appropriate person to provide that help. All the evidence shows is that Mr. Shaw has been preparing for this guardianship petition by documenting concerning behaviors, Turner concluded. That's responsible and appropriate. We ask the court to appoint Mr. Shaw as his mother's guardian so he can ensure she's safe and cared for. It was a weak argument, and Turner knew it. Washington stood for her closing argument, and her words were devastating. Your Honor, this case is about a predatory son attempting to exploit his elderly mother, Washington began. Raymond Shaw is not a concerned son. He's a financially desperate man who sees his mother's home as the solution to his $82,000 debt. The evidence is overwhelming, Washington continued. Dr. Martinez's comprehensive evaluation proves Ms. Shaw has no cognitive impairment. Her neighbors, friends, and doctor all testify she's fully competent. She manages her finances responsibly, lives independently, and makes sound decisions. In contrast, Mr. Shaw has no medical expertise to support his claims of cognitive decline, Washington said. His documentation consists of notes about normal behaviors, occasional forgetfulness, repeated stories, things everyone does regardless of age. But most damning is Mr. Shaw's own words. Washington said, her voice rising. In the recording, he explicitly states his plan: become guardian, sell the house, put his mother in a facility, and use the proceeds. When his mother accused him of planning to pay his own debts, he didn't deny it. The text messages show this guardianship is not about protecting Ms. Shaw. It's about accessing her assets, Washington continued. Mr. Shaw admits in writing that he's deliberately documenting normal behaviors to build a false case of incompetency. Your Honor, what Mr. Shaw is attempting is called predatory guardianship, Washington said. It's a form of elder abuse where someone uses the guardianship system to steal from vulnerable people. Except Ms. Shaw isn't vulnerable. She's perfectly competent. Mr. Shaw is simply betting she won't fight back. He was wrong, Washington concluded. Ms. Shaw has fought back. The evidence proves she's competent. The evidence proves Mr. Shaw's motives are financial, not protective. This guardianship petition should be denied, and Mr. Shaw should face consequences for attempting to abuse the guardianship system. Washington sat down. The courtroom was silent. Judge Richardson reviewed his notes for several long minutes, while everyone waited in tense silence. Finally, he looked up. "I've presided over guardianship cases for over 20 years, Judge Richardson began. "I've seen families genuinely trying to protect loved ones who can no longer care for themselves. I've also seen people trying to exploit the guardianship system for financial gain. This case is clearly the latter." Raymond's face went pale. "Mr. Shaw, your testimony in this courtroom portrayed you as a loving, concerned son worried about his mother's declining mental capacity," Judge Richardson said. "But the evidence tells a completely different story. Dr. Martinez's evaluation conclusively proves your mother has no cognitive impairment," Judge Richardson continued. "Her neighbors and doctor confirm she functions normally and independently. Your own evidence of cognitive decline consists of normal, age-appropriate forgetfulness that everyone experiences. But what's most troubling is the recording and text messages," Judge Richardson said, his voice hardening. "These show you deliberately plan to manufacture a case of incompetency against your mother to gain control of her assets. You admitted in writing that you were documenting normal behaviors to build a false case. You admitted on recording that your plan is to sell her house and use the proceeds." "Mr. Shaw, you're not trying to protect your mother," Judge Richardson said bluntly. "You're trying to steal from her. You're using the guardianship system, a system designed to protect vulnerable people, as a tool to exploit your own mother for financial gain." "This guardianship petition is denied," Judge Richardson announced. "Ms. Shaw is demonstrably competent to manage her own affairs and make her own decisions. She does not need or want a guardian. Mr. Shaw will not be appointed guardian." I felt overwhelming relief wash over me. I'd won. But Judge Richardson wasn't finished. "Furthermore," Judge Richardson continued, "I'm making several additional orders. First, I'm issuing a permanent injunction prohibiting Raymond Shaw from filing any future guardianship petitions against Pauline Shaw without clear medical evidence of incompetency from at least 2 independent physicians. Second, I'm referring this case to Adult Protective Services for investigation of attempted financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. Third, I'm referring this case to the State Bar for investigation of Attorney Floyd Turner's role in bringing a frivolous guardianship petition based on manufactured evidence." Attorney Turner's face went white. "Fourth," Judge Richardson said, "I'm ordering Raymond Shaw to pay all of Pauline Shaw's legal fees incurred in defending against this baseless petition." "Your Honor, my client can't afford," Turner started to protest. "Your client is $82,000 in debt because he's irresponsible with money," Judge Richardson interrupted. "He can find a way to pay his mother's legal fees. How much are we talking, Ms. Washington?" "Approximately $8,500, Your Honor," Washington said. "Mr. Shaw, you have 90 days to pay your mother $8,500 in legal fees," Judge Richardson ordered. "If you fail to pay, Ms. Shaw can pursue wage garnishment or place a lien against any assets you acquire." Raymond looked devastated. "Finally," Judge Richardson said, "I want to address you directly, Mr. Shaw. What you attempted here is despicable. You tried to exploit your own mother, a woman who raised you, who housed you when you were evicted, who has helped you throughout your life, just to solve your own financial problems. You manufactured evidence of incompetency," Judge Richardson continued. "You lied in court. You wasted judicial resources on a frivolous petition, and you put your mother through months of stress and fear. If I had the authority, I'd hold you in contempt," Judge Richardson said. "As it is, I'm referring you to Adult Protective Services and hoping they find grounds for criminal charges. What you did isn't just morally wrong, it may be criminal elder abuse." "You thought your mother was too weak to fight you," Judge Richardson concluded. "You were wrong. She hired an excellent attorney. She gathered evidence. She testified clearly and competently. She proved you're a liar and an attempted thief. I hope she never speaks to you again. You don't deserve a mother like her." Judge Richardson's gavel came down. "This case is dismissed. Ms. Shaw, you're free to go. Mr. Shaw, you have 90 days to pay those legal fees. Court is adjourned." Before I continue this story, kindly subscribe now. Smash that like button and turn on NOTFICTONS. Drop a comment. Should Raymond face criminal charges? Will he ever apologize? Where are you watching from? After Judge Curtis Richardson's devastating ruling against Raymond, I walked out of the courtroom feeling something I hadn't felt in 3 months: complete freedom. Raymond had tried to have me declared mentally incompetent so he could steal my home and put me in a nursing home. He'd manufactured evidence. He'd lied in court. He'd underestimated me, thinking I was too old and weak to fight back. He was wrong. Judge Richardson had destroyed every one of Raymond's lies, denied the guardianship petition, ordered Raymond to pay my legal fees, and referred him for investigation of elder abuse. I'd won completely. But as attorney Opal Washington and I left the courthouse, I felt something else alongside the relief: profound sadness. I'd had to fight my own son in court. I'd had to listen to him lie about me. I'd had to prove to a judge that I wasn't the confused, incompetent old woman Raymond had portrayed. "How are you feeling?" Washington asked as we walked to her car. "Relieved," I said, "victorious and heartbroken." "That's understandable," Washington said gently. "You won today, Pauline. You protected your home and your independence, but you also lost your son." "I lost him long before today," I said. "I just didn't want to admit it." As we drove away from the courthouse, I saw Raymond standing on the courthouse steps with his attorney, Floyd Turner. Raymond was yelling at Turner, his face red with anger. "They can hear everything you're saying," I said quietly, though they couldn't hear me from inside the car. Washington glanced at them. Raymond is probably blaming his attorney for the loss. People like Raymond never accept responsibility for their own failures. "Will Raymond actually be charged with elder abuse?" I asked. "Adult Protective Services will investigate," Washington explained. "Given the recording, the text messages, and the judge's findings, there's a strong case that Raymond attempted financial exploitation. That's a crime in this state." "What would happen if he's charged?" I asked. "If convicted, he could face fines and possibly jail time," Washington said. "Financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult is a serious offense." "I'm not a vulnerable adult," I pointed out. "The judge said so." "True," Washington agreed. "But the law defines vulnerable adult as anyone over 65. Even though you're fully competent, you still fall within the protected category. Raymond's attempt to exploit you is still criminal, even though it didn't succeed." "Good," I said firmly. Then I surprised myself by adding, "I hope they charge him." Washington looked at me. "That's not something I expected to hear from you." 6 months ago, I would have said I could never want my son arrested, I admitted. But after what he put me through, the fear, the stress, the lies, I think he needs to face consequences. Real consequences, not just a judge scolding him. "He also has to pay your legal fees," Washington reminded me. $8,500 within 90 days. "He doesn't have $8,500, I said. "He barely has 800. "Then he'll need to find a way to earn it," Washington said. "Get a job, set up a payment plan, borrow from friends. That's his problem, not yours." "What if he doesn't pay?" I asked. "Then we can garnish his wages or place liens on any assets he acquires," Washington said. "The court ordered him to pay. We'll make sure he does." 2 weeks after the court hearing, an investigator from Adult Protective Services came to my home to interview me. Her name was Detective Minnie Foster, and she specialized in financial crimes against elderly people. "Ms. Shaw, I'm investigating your son Raymond for attempted financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult," Detective Foster explained. "I've reviewed the court transcripts, listened to the recording, and read the text messages. I need to ask you some questions about Raymond's behavior leading up to the guardianship petition." I spent 2 hours answering Detective Foster's questions. When did Raymond first start asking for money? How did he react when I refused? When did he start making comments about my mental competency? Did he ever threaten me directly? Did he have access to my bank accounts or financial information? Ms. Shaw, did Raymond ever suggest you give him power of attorney over your accounts? Detective Foster asked. Yes, I remembered. About 6 months ago, he said I should give him power of attorney just in case something happens to you. I refused. What did he say when you refused? Detective Foster pressed. He said I was being stubborn and making things harder for him, I recalled. He said if I had a medical emergency and couldn't make decisions, he'd need power of attorney to help me. But I told him if I ever needed someone to make medical or financial decisions for me, I'd consult with an attorney about proper planning, not just hand him power of attorney. Good decision, Detective Foster said. If you'd given him power of attorney, he could have drained your accounts before you knew what was happening. That's what he wanted to do with guardianship, I said. Control my assets and drain them to pay his debts. Exactly, Detective Foster confirmed. Ms. Shaw, based on my investigation, I'm recommending criminal charges against Raymond for attempted financial exploitation. The district attorney will make the final decision on whether to prosecute. How long will that take? I asked. Probably a few weeks, Detective Foster said. I'll let you know what the DA decides. 1 month after the court hearing, I received a call from Detective Foster. Ms. Shaw, the district attorney has decided to file criminal charges against Raymond, Detective Foster informed me. He's being charged with attempted financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult and filing false documents in a legal proceeding. What do those charges mean? I asked. Attempted financial exploitation is a felony, Detective Foster explained. It carries a potential sentence of up to 5 years in prison and fines up to $10,000. Filing false documents is a misdemeanor, carrying up to 1 year in jail and fines up to $2,500. Will Raymond actually go to prison? I asked. That depends on several factors, Detective Foster said. If he pleads guilty, he might get probation and community service for a first offense. If he goes to trial and is convicted, the judge could impose prison time. It's hard to predict. Will I have to testify? I asked nervously. Possibly, Detective Foster said. But we have strong evidence. The recording, the text messages, the court transcripts. Raymond might plead guilty to avoid trial. When will all this happen? I asked. Raymond will be arraigned next week, Detective Foster said. Then we'll see how he pleads. I'll keep you informed. I attended Raymond's arraignment, sitting in the back of the courtroom while he stood before Judge Opal Washington, a different judge from the guardianship hearing. Raymond looked terrible. He'd lost weight. His suit was rumpled. He looked defeated. The prosecutor read the charges. The state charges Raymond Shaw with 1 count of attempted financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult, a felony, and 1 count of filing false documents in a legal proceeding, a misdemeanor. How do you plead? Judge Washington asked. Raymond's public defender. He couldn't afford a private attorney anymore, whispered something to him. Not guilty, Raymond said. Trial is set for 3 months from today, Judge Washington announced. Bail is set at $10,000. Your Honor, my client can't afford bail, the public defender said. Then he'll remain in custody until trial, Judge Washington said. Your Honor, my client has no criminal record, the public defender argued. He's not a flight risk. We request release on his own recognizance. Your client attempted to defraud his own mother out of her home, Judge Washington said. He manufactured evidence to have her declared incompetent. He wasted court resources on a fraudulent guardianship petition. He's shown a pattern of dishonest and exploitative behavior. Bail remains $10,000. Raymond couldn't pay the bail. He was taken into custody. As the deputies led Raymond away, he looked at me sitting in the back of the courtroom. Our eyes met. I expected to see anger or defiance in his expression. Instead, I saw something else, recognition that he'd finally faced real consequences for his actions. 2 months after Raymond's arraignment, And 3 months after the guardianship hearing, Detective Foster called me again. Ms. Shaw, Raymond has accepted a plea deal, Detective Foster informed me. He's pleading guilty to attempted financial exploitation. In exchange, the filing false documents charge will be dropped. What's his sentence? I asked. 3 years probation, 200 hours of community service, mandatory financial counseling, and restitution, Detective Foster said. Restitution, I asked. What does that mean? Raymond has to pay you $15,000 in restitution, Detective Foster explained. That's $8,500 for the legal fees Judge Richardson already ordered, plus $6,500 for emotional distress and the stress he caused you. He doesn't have $15,000, I said. He'll have to find a way to pay it, Detective Foster said. Monthly payments over the 3 years of probation. If he fails to pay, he'll be violated on probation and could face prison time. What's the community service for? I asked. He'll be working at a senior center, Detective Foster said, helping elderly people with tasks like grocery shopping, yard work, household repairs. The judge thought it was appropriate given his crime. And the financial counseling? I asked. Mandatory sessions with a credit counselor to address his debt and spending problems, Detective Foster explained. The counselor will report to the probation officer on Raymond's progress. So he's not going to prison? I asked. Not unless he violates probation, Detective Foster said. Ms. Shaw, I know you might have wanted a harsher sentence, but this plea deal ensures Raymond faces consequences and has to make restitution to you. And if he violates probation, doesn't pay, doesn't complete community service, gets in trouble again, he'll face prison time. I don't want him in prison, I admitted. I just wanted him to stop trying to steal from me and face consequences for what he did. He's facing consequences, Detective Foster assured me. Significant consequences. I attended Raymond's sentencing hearing, where the plea deal was formally accepted. Judge Washington addressed Raymond directly before imposing the sentence. Mr. Shaw, you attempted to exploit your own mother by manufacturing evidence to have her declared incompetent so you could steal her home, Judge Washington said. This is one of the most despicable cases I've encountered, a son victimizing his own mother for financial gain. You've pleaded guilty, which shows at least some acceptance of responsibility, Judge Washington continued. But I want to be clear. You're receiving a lenient sentence because this is your first offense and because you've agreed to make full restitution to your victim. If you violate probation in any way, you'll face the maximum prison sentence. Do you understand? Judge Washington asked. Yes, Your Honor, Raymond said quietly. Do you have anything to say to your mother, who is present in this courtroom? Judge Washington asked. Raymond turned and looked at me. I met his eyes, waiting. Mom, I'm sorry, Raymond said, his voice breaking. I was desperate and I made terrible choices. I hurt you. I lied about you. I tried to steal from you. I'm ashamed of what I did. I said nothing. I just stared at him, letting him feel the weight of his actions. I don't expect you to forgive me, Raymond continued. I just want you to know I'm sorry, and I'll pay you back every penny of what the court ordered. It might take all 3 years, but I'll pay it. Anything else? Judge Washington asked. No, Your Honor, Raymond said. Then the sentence is imposed as agreed in the plea deal, Judge Washington announced. 3 years probation, 200 hours community service, mandatory financial counseling, and $15,000 restitution payable at $417 per month for 36 months. Mr. Shaw, report to probation within 48 hours. Court is adjourned. 6 months after Raymond tried to steal my home and independence, I was living my best life. I was 70 years old, living alone in the house I'd owned for 40 years, managing my own affairs, proving every day that I was exactly as competent as I'd always been. Raymond was working 2 part-time jobs to make his $417 monthly restitution payments. He'd made 3 payments so far, $1, $251 of the $15,000 he owed me. He had 33 months left. He was also completing his community service at a senior center, where, according to Detective Foster, who checked in periodically, he was apparently learning to treat elderly people with respect instead of seeing them as targets for exploitation. And he was attending financial counseling, learning to budget and manage debt instead of trying to solve his financial problems by stealing from others. I hadn't spoken to Raymond since the sentencing hearing. He'd tried to call me twice, but I didn't answer. He'd sent 2 letters apologizing again and updating me on his restitution payments, but I didn't respond. I wasn't ready. Maybe I never would be. The letters Raymond sent were kept in a folder in my desk. I read them occasionally, trying to understand if his remorse was genuine or just another manipulation. Letter 1, 3 months after sentencing. Mom, I know you don't want to hear from me. I understand. But I wanted you to know I made my first restitution payment, $417. I have a job at a warehouse and a weekend job at a grocery store. It's hard work, but I'm doing it. I'm paying you back like I promised. I'm also doing community service at Meadowbrook Senior Center. I help elderly people with things they can't do themselves, yard work, heavy lifting, technology problems. It's made me realize how wrong I was about you. These people aren't weak or incompetent. They're just older and need help with certain things. You don't even need help. You do everything yourself. I called you weak, but you were stronger than me. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I'm trying to be better. Raymond. Letter 2, 6 months after sentencing. Mom, I made my 3rd payment today. $1,251 total so far, 33 months to go. My financial counselor says I was using you as a solution instead of fixing my own problems. She's right. I made bad financial decisions, ran up credit cards, spent money I didn't have, lost jobs because I didn't try hard enough. Instead of fixing my problems, I decided to take your house. I'm ashamed. The counselor helped me make a budget. I'm paying down my credit cards. I'm keeping my jobs. I'm living within my means. It's hard. I wish I'd learned this 20 years ago, instead of now at 43. At the senior center yesterday, an 89-year-old woman asked me to help her set up her new smartphone. She was so grateful when I showed her how to use it. She said, "Young people always assume old people are stupid with technology, but we just need someone patient to teach us." I thought about how I assumed you were incompetent when really you were just 69 years old. Age doesn't equal incompetence. I was wrong about everything. I'm still sorry. I'll be sorry for the rest of my life. Raymond. Reading the letters, I felt conflicting emotions. Part of me wanted to believe Raymond had genuinely learned from his consequences. Part of me wondered if this was just another manipulation, saying what he thought I wanted to hear. I didn't know which was true. Maybe I never would. 1 year after Raymond stood in my living room and told me I was too weak to fight him, I celebrated my 70th birthday. I celebrated with my neighbors Letty and Opal, with my friends from the community center, with my doctor, Dr. Stone, who'd testified on my behalf in court. I did not celebrate with Raymond. Do you think you'll ever forgive him? Letty asked during the birthday dinner she'd organized. I don't know, I admitted. What he did, trying to have me declared incompetent, trying to steal my home, lying about me in court, it wasn't just wrong. It was cruel. It made me doubt myself. It made me feel afraid in my own home. But you fought back, Opal pointed out. You proved him wrong about everything. I did, I agreed. But winning doesn't erase what he put me through. Has he kept up with the restitution payments? Dr. Stone asked. Yes, I confirmed. He's made 12 payments now, $5,000 total, $10,000 left to go. That's something, Letty said. At least he's following through. Maybe, I said. Or maybe he's just afraid of going to prison if he violates probation. Does the motivation matter if the result is the same? Opal asked. Whether he's paying out of genuine remorse or fear of consequences, you're getting the money he owes you. I suppose that's true, I conceded. I'm 70 years old now, living independently in the home I've owned for 40 years. The home my son tried to steal from me by having me declared mentally incompetent. Raymond thought I was too weak to fight him. He thought being 69 meant being helpless. He thought I wouldn't know how to hire a lawyer, gather evidence, or defend myself in court. He was wrong about all of it. The morning after Raymond told me I was too weak to stop him, I hired attorney Opal Washington. I underwent a comprehensive cognitive evaluation proving I had no impairment. I gathered evidence of Raymond's debts and motives. I prepared for battle. And when we walked into that courtroom, I let Judge Curtis Richardson destroy every single lie Raymond had told. The judge denied the guardianship petition completely. He ordered Raymond to pay my legal fees. He referred Raymond for criminal investigation. He told Raymond he didn't deserve a mother like me. Raymond was criminally charged, pleaded guilty, and was sentenced to 3 years probation, community service, financial counseling, and $15,000 in restitution. 1 year later, Raymond has paid $5,000 of what he owes me. He's working 2 jobs. He's learning to treat elderly people with respect. He's learning to manage money instead of trying to steal from others. And me, I'm living my best life at 70 years old. I manage my own home. I manage my own finances. I make my own decisions. I prove every single day that I'm exactly as competent as I always was. Raymond thought my age made me weak. Instead, my age gave me 70 years of experience, resilience, and the wisdom to know when to fight back. Raymond thought I wouldn't hire a lawyer because I wouldn't understand the legal system. Instead, I hired an excellent attorney who helped me gather devastating evidence against him. Raymond thought I'd crumble under the pressure of a court hearing. Instead, I testified clearly and confidently, proving his lies false. Raymond thought he could manufacture evidence of my incompetency. Instead, I provided medical documentation of my complete competency. My son thought I was too weak to fight. The next morning, I let the judge destroy his lies. And I won completely. 1 year later, I'm not sure I'll ever forgive Raymond for what he tried to do to me. Maybe someday, maybe never. That's my choice to make, just like every other choice in my life. Because despite what Raymond believed, I'm not weak. I'm not incompetent. I'm not helpless. I'm a 70-year-old woman who fought for her home and independence and won. And I'll never let anyone, not even my own son, take that away from me again. Raymond learned an expensive lesson. Don't underestimate your mother. Don't assume age equals weakness. And don't try to steal from the woman who raised you and loved you your entire life. I hope the lesson was worth the cost. 3 years of probation, $15,000 in restitution, a criminal record, and the permanent loss of his relationship with his mother. My son thought I was too weak to fight. He was wrong. And now, he has 3 years to think about just how wrong he was. 1 year after the courtroom victory, Pauline is thriving. Judge Richardson destroyed Raymond's lies, denied guardianship, ordered $8,500 legal fees, referred for criminal investigation. 2 weeks later, Adult Protective Services investigated. Detective Foster found evidence of attempted financial exploitation. 1 month later, District Attorney filed criminal CHARGES, attempted financial exploitation felony, up to 5 years prison, and filing false documents, misdemeanor, up to 1 year jail. Raymond couldn't afford $10K bail, stayed in custody. 2 months later, Raymond accepted plea deal, guilty to exploitation charge. Sentence, 3 years probation, 200 hours community service at senior center, mandatory financial counseling, $15,000 restitution, $8,500 legal fees plus $6,500 emotional distress. At sentencing, Raymond apologized. "Mom, I'm sorry. I was desperate. I made terrible choices. I hurt you. I'm ashamed." But Pauline didn't respond. 6 months later, Raymond, working 2 jobs, made $417 monthly payments, $1,251 of $15,000 paid, 33 months left. Completing community service helping seniors, learning and counseling to budget instead of stealing. Raymond sent letters apologizing, updating payments. "I'm trying to be better. These seniors aren't weak, you weren't weak. You were stronger than me. I'm ashamed." Pauline keeps letters but hasn't responded, not ready to forgive. 1 year later, Pauline turned 70, celebrated with friends not Raymond. Has received $5,000 of restitution so far. Living independently, managing her home, finances, proving daily she's completely competent. Raymond has 28 months, probation left if he violates, he goes to prison. This story proves that Sparkle's age doesn't equal weakness. 70-year-olds can fight predatory family members and win. Courts take elder abuse seriously. Predatory guardianship is criminal. Evidence destroys manufactured incompetency claims. Fighting back protects your rights. You're never too old to defend yourself. Consequences teach lessons exploitation doesn't. If this story inspired you, please subscribe to this channel for more justice stories. Smash that like button. Turn on notifications for new content. Drop a comment. Should Pauline ever forgive Raymond? Was the sentence fair or too lenient? Where are you watching from? United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Jamaica, South Africa, Australia, Trinidad, India, Philippines? Let me know. Remember, if someone tries predatory guardianship against you, fight back. Hire a lawyer immediately. Get cognitive evaluation proving competency. Gather evidence of their true motives. Courts will protect competent adults from exploitation. You're never too old or weak to defend your rights. Age is not incompetence. 70 doesn't mean helpless. Pauline's son Raymond tried to steal her $400K house by having her declared incompetent. But she hired lawyer, got cognitive evaluation proving no impairment, exposed his $82K debt motive, played recording of him admitting his plan. Judge denied guardianship, called Raymond a liar and thief. Raymond criminally charged with attempted elder abuse. Pleaded guilty. 3 years probation, must pay $15K restitution. 1 year later, Pauline thriving at 70, completely independent. Raymond paying monthly, working 2 jobs, learning harsh lesson. She proved age doesn't equal weakness. Thank you for following this powerful journey from attempted exploitation to complete victory to justice and consequences. Until the next story, stand in your strength, defend your rights, and remember that you're never too old to fight back against those who would steal from you.